Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, and I am here with the community director, Joshua Ryan Rosen, in our new studio today. Josh, how are you?
Boom. Gino, loving it, man. Finally got some professional mics, an upgraded camera, and feeling good, man. Tell me what's going on in your world.
A big shout out to the Julia Barbaro. She's the rock. Was on the phone 5 minutes before this thing was going on saying, what buttons do I need to push? How do I make this happen? So got to give a big shout out to my wife. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well, man. What I'm excited for is today's guest. So we have Vanessa and Michael Sanchez. They met 6 years ago speed dating, and it was an instant connection. They're now married, and they have 2 kids, Noah, who's 9, and Zia Grace, who's 2. They opened their own construction company in 2018 that had nothing to do with real estate. Now, by mid-2019, they had a huge mindset shift, and they decided to transition and were full-time real estate investors working on their own company projects. Now, prior, Vanessa was a teacher for 10 years, and Michael was a lead project manager on over $200 million worth of commercial construction projects before starting their company. Together, they have a general contracting business and a project management firm. They will utilize this expertise to target heavy lifts and adaptive reuse projects, taking down vacant buildings and transforming them into beautiful multifamily properties. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Vanessa and Michael.
Hi. Thank you guys. Thank you for having us.
All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. First off, let's talk about, you're doing a company together, and I like that. And it's really, that's something I hope to have one day, but I want to hear your guys' story, how you went from your first business to real estate and kind of why the shift from single family to multifamily. But there's a lot to unpack. Break it all down.
Okay. So when we started the construction company, and we were going forward, it was just a huge change for us. First mindset shift from W-2s to our own employers, our own boss. We wrote our own business plan. We had everything, core values in place. It's just me and her, but we really wanted to build the foundation strong. And after a while, whenever the dynamics changed in Los Alamos National Laboratory where we were working, we decided to change over to real estate. I had flipped a couple of houses when I was single and done good at them. And I told her, you know what, let's get out of here. It's too stressful, government work. Let's try this thing. I think we could really make it flipping houses. And whenever we decided to take the leap, people were calling with more contracts for us to sign to go for the next 2 years, 3 years, steady income coming in. And we said, I think we're going to die of a heart attack working on these projects before we even get going. So let's cancel it and let's see if we can make it on our own. And it's been the best move that we've ever made. I mean, it's just huge for us to just go into real estate.
Vanessa, can you add anything to that?
I think it was scary at first because that's all I knew was W-2. I had been a teacher for so long. And I think it was that we just had faith, that we had faith in our abilities and each other. And real estate is fun and exciting. And so, thinking about waking up every day, being excited about what we were going to be doing just made it that much more apparent that we had to do it, because seeing him waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not going to bed till midnight, stressing out, it wasn't the life that we wanted. And we knew that we both had a passion for real estate and that was going to be the next move for us.
And when did you guys realize that single families and flipping wasn't the vehicle necessarily for you, and multifamily, all of a sudden this new scary thing comes into your life? When was that realization?
So it was very recent, actually, about 6 months ago. We were doing a single family flip in Santa Fe, New Mexico. and it was a higher end flip and we were enjoying it, but our whole entire time, effort was put into that flip. And there was one day when I asked Michael, is this really reaching our goals? Is this whole flipping business really where we want to be? And we both came up with the answer that no, it's not. And we said, well, what's next? And we had always wanted to go into multifamily. That was when we actually looked at each other and said, okay, now is the time.
Yeah.
At that moment in October of last year, 2021, we thought we had to learn everything ourselves. So we said, okay, we're going to stop the single family fix and flips. We're going to take a step back and we're going to self-educate. And then we were like, okay, that's going to take a long time. And Michael has a buddy from middle school that he grew up with, Colin. And he said, he's out in Omaha doing some great stuff. I want to get on a plane and go see what he's doing. And I said, go do it. And he went out. And
you guys were there. It just so happens you guys were doing a meeting.
It was actually his meetup, Colin's meetup on a Friday night. And so he went to the meetup, but you guys were there for a money mixer. And he met you guys, and he asked Colin, because they're very close, and he said, give it to me real. What do I need to do? What do I need to invest in? Because we're ready to make the jump. And Colin said, I have spent so much money on education. Jake and Gino is the best that you're ever going to find. And he came home and he said, this is what we're going to do. And MM4 was like a week later or something. And we got on a phone call with Dylan, and I just knew, yep, this is it. Yeah. And so we kind of fell into it, luckily. And we're so blessed that we did, because it has completely changed our lives.
Yeah. So there's a lot to break down there. And I think one thing that's really important is you took inventory saying, hey, is what I'm doing right now getting me where I want to be? And so I would expand on that a little bit. What was it with single family that you were like, this isn't going to get us to our goals? And what was the allure with multifamily as the new vehicle to now get you to those goals? Break that down a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure. So when we were doing each flip, it was like this huge, influx of capital. We'd lose all our capital to do the project, and then we'd sell it, and then we'd have a huge influx of capital, and then go right into the next project, right? And we're just doing this up and down thing. And at the end of the year, we're paying taxes on any profits that we have. And year over year, when we were looking at our financial goals, we look like we're in the same place. We have this portfolio that's growing. Our net worth was growing, which was good, but our actual income coming in and our tax hits were still staying the same. And it seemed like we were growing as a company, getting better at flips, doing better things. But at every year, we just started in the same place, even though how much work we put in and how much we were doing. And so then we started looking, luckily, we mentioned Colin once before, but when we started the single family fix and flips, I had called him and said, we're making this jump into real estate. Do you have any advice? Because I knew what he was doing. He said, don't do single family, do multifamily. And I said, well, we're not doing that. But so it was already planted in the back of our heads that that's where we needed to head, I guess, if you call it, when we grew up. And so that's where we were headed. And we started learning about the tax breaks and the benefits of doing multifamily and what it could do for us for long-term wealth. And it was like, yes, this is absolutely more our goals and what we need to be doing.
Well, I think too, we had that limiting belief that we were flippers. Multifamily was this kind of pie in the sky, like, oh gosh, that's not for us. Like,
we don't have enough money.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so I think crushing those limiting beliefs was really helpful for us.
Yeah. When did that shift for those limiting beliefs, and why?
So I think it was different times for us. For me, I was ready to go. She was always telling everybody he has like these huge projects he wants to do. And I wasn't scared at all. I'd done some huge projects like that. So I felt like we could leverage our expertise. So I was always looking at the bigger buildings with the adaptive reuse in mind, just because I didn't know at that time if the numbers would work or not, but I knew I could run that construction project. I know I could take that building and make it something beautiful. Now that's where we needed the education. And I'll let you talk a little bit more about your mindset shift and kind of when you...
I think for me, the flips was kind of like my stepping stone into real estate, because I had always been a teacher. So I didn't know anything other than that. And, once I saw that we were really excelling, I think we were gaining credibility here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And just seeing that people were now coming to us for like answers and like picking our brains about things, it was like, whoa, like maybe we do know what we're doing. And so, we didn't know anything about multifamily. For me personally, I didn't know cap rates. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know we had to go through brokers, that we had to underwrite. That to me was like very foreign. And I like the safe zone, like the things that I know and that I'm really good at. And until I got to a point where it was like, no, I can do this. And when I started getting the education, I mean, it happened in weeks where I was able to have a conversation at an investor meetup one day. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, we can go into multifamily and we can be confident doing it. So I think until like you helped me get that education, I didn't really know what I was capable of.
I need to challenge you both on a couple of things you said. Number one, you said you just didn't fall into it. And you didn't fall into it because you actually talked to Colin, you got on a plane, you stayed the next day, and Josh lets you come to the Money Mixer. Josh doesn't let anybody come other than a student in the community. He's like, I think Michael needs to come because he needs to see the difference between what we're doing and what other companies out there are doing. And I remember meeting you at the property. We were sitting at one of Colin's properties. We were touring that day. And I remember because, meeting all the students, meeting the community. And I think for most people out there, you need to take the first step. I mean, you need to have the action part. The education is coming. You took action first and then the education followed. Then you put both of those together and magic happens. And it's really important, everybody out there. Michael didn't go out and ask his friend about multifamily who has no units, who has no experience. Michael asked somebody who had experience and who had been doing it. That is like the nugget for this entire show. If you're going to ask for advice, ask for somebody who has success in what you want to do. If you want to trade crypto, go out and find a crypto trader who's doing it really well. If you want to buy single family homes and fix and flips, maybe you would call Michael 2 years ago. Success leaves clues. And that's the important thing. You went out there and asked Colin, who's a Jake and Gino coach, who ironically enough has probably got over 2,000 units right now. So he sees the massive success and leans on that. And that's really important, everybody out there. Things don't just happen to you. You need to really put a conscious effort. Michael said that he had a seed planted in the back. That's very, very important. Planting those seeds every day and working on it and working on your vision and working on your core values. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like it's in alignment. That's really important. That's what happened to Michael and Vanessa. They're like, this doesn't feel right to me. What's going on? And then continue to expand the mindset. And it is a process. It's a work in process. You talked about some of the challenges you had getting into multifamily before you joined the community. Now that you're part of the community, what has the community done for you? Or what have you really learned from the community to take it to the next level in multifamily?
I think there is so much. We were looking for, the reason why we purchased the program was the educational platform. Josh and Dylan had shown us, this is an example of what it looks like, and that's exactly what we were looking for. What we got was so much more. Like, we didn't know. We joined and we were like, we're going to run through this educational platform as fast as we can. We're putting the whole business on hold. We need income coming in. So we were dedicated, 14 hours a day, 12 hours a day, just education. Well, day one, we sign up, we get a request for like 10 Zoom calls. We get on the phone with Robert Liu, our first one. He's telling us, oh, we love Albuquerque. We love what you guys are doing. We can give you money if you need to take down a building. Day one. That's crazy to us. And then just, the friends we've made, the multifamily zone, the couples classes that you have. I mean, I'm sure you could add.
I think it has just been a blessing. I think for me, it has completely changed my mindset. I was very fixed before this, a very fixed mindset. And I think I met all of you and I met the people in this community, and it completely shifted how I think. And it's a work in progress every day, but I feel like I have a growth mindset and I have become a better version of myself by joining Jake and Gino.
I love that. And you guys were on the couples coaching last night. And that's one of the things that we like to talk about in the community. It's not just multifamily. We have a monthly couples coaching call. We have a Toastmasters call. We have accountability pods, underwriting pods. There's a little bit for everybody. And you can go at your own speed. You two are full-time in the business, but not doing multifamily, dedicating that education. Talk a little bit about the events as well, coming out to those events and networking with the students. And, like you said, there's some students who are raising capital, some students who are doing deals, some students who are key principals, being able to, I guess, explore that and come into the events. Can you speak to those events a little bit and how they actually impacted your business?
I feel like what I have learned is going to these events, and we've made it a point to go to all of the events since we joined Jake and Gino in October. And everything that you need is in that room. Those people are there to answer. And it's so powerful. And I feel like we've made some of the best lifelong friends by going to these events, and they're going to be in our families and our lives forever. But anytime we have a question, we know where to go. There's no question about like, oh, do I have to go find this somewhere? No, I know that Jake and Gino has all the people that I need to answer the question. And so going to these live events and building those relationships, I feel is extremely important. And, you know, now knowing who each other are when we ask those questions, like there's that real relationship that has happened and that trust.
Yeah. And I think for me, going to those things, to the events, the live events, I like the differentiators, you know, that it's not just, you know, there's MM4, which has its purpose. There's manage right, bind right, finance right, the money mixers, all of them have their different purposes and all of them serve a purpose. But for me, I mean, the first one that I went to that I wasn't even a member yet, like you said, the money mixer, I'm following the bus behind, you know, in my car so that I could go see these properties. And to see everybody helps change your mindset. When I don't know anything about Jake and Gino and multifamily at the time, and I'm standing in the parking lot and people are like, hey, I'm trying to take down this, you know, 150 units over here in Reno. And this guy says, oh, we love Reno. You know, how much money do you need? Okay, done. They shake hands and I'm standing here watching this kind of stuff happening. And it's, are you kidding me? Like this is, you know, and then, but also viewing the properties for me was huge because whenever from a construction standpoint, we were walking Colin's properties and he's telling us the numbers, the finances, and all that seemed more complex to me. When I walked into the building, it was like, oh, we can do this. Like my company, these flips that they're doing, the flooring, the cabinets, the painting, and how fast they're going and the numbers they're saying, like, we could totally do this. Like, this is what we're set up. And it made us feel more confident because a lot of people explained to us that there was less people in our sector, boots on the ground, than there was at the finance at the time. So they gave us confidence in ourselves and what we were doing, showing how valuable our assets could be and taught us more how to leverage our strengths. So now, I mean, just the leverage they taught us and how to use it was a huge thing of meeting everybody in person.
I agree. That's huge. And I want to dive into the deal that you've done recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So we purchased a 7,000 square foot commercial office space in an area called Nob Hill, New Mexico, which is a very nice, trendy, up and coming market. It's very, very higher end. And so we were able to take a vacant building, commercial office space. We're in the middle of construction now. So everything at this point is theoretical. However, we're very confident in our numbers and what we're doing, but we're taking a 7,000 square foot commercial office space and turning it into 7 multifamily units, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. It'll be an A-class property by the time we're finished in an A-class area. And we'll be able to ask for very high market rents. And we'll be looking for even corporate rentals of some of the higher end companies that are looking for space right now that are short on space. And
let's dive a little bit into those numbers and why corporate rentals, right? That's a very unique niche. Why is that something that you want to rent those units out to?
Sure. I always like listening to Jake. You know, he tells you take what the defense gives you. That's more driven by our market. We have Netflix, we have Amazon Studios, Google Studios, CBS Studios, NBC Studios. Albuquerque, New Mexico is turning into another mecca for filming. And those rates that they're offering from those players in the movie industry, the numbers are so much higher. If you can offer them a unique product with, you know, completely furnished and everything like that, and you could really tap into what they're doing, their rents are through the roof. So it's really a numbers driven analytical thing that we feel we could take a property. And one of our things that we do in our company is instead of trying to spread out too much, and when we feel like we start getting overwhelmed, it's like, don't take on too much, make this one thing we're working on be the best that it can be. So if we're investing all our time, all our effort, and all our capital in this one, we want the biggest return on that one. And we feel like going after the corporate rentals would be the pie in the sky. We're underwritten at market rents. If we need to do that, the deal works at market. But if we're able to get the corporate rentals, that's just an additional plus, right? And then we're really going after it. So that's one of our goals.
What is your buy right criteria? Has it changed since you came on board? And it's always evolving. Just remember the three pillars of real estate: market cycle, debt, and exit strategy. I love this particular deal because you're buying a property and you're repositioning it, and it's brand new, and it's something that you can hold for the next 20 years because it's you put in new fixtures. You're in a great area. You're willing to say, hey, I can own this long term because I love the location, I love the area, and now, like you said, it's repositioned to everything brand new. Have you really created your buy right, or is it evolving as you're learning more?
So it is evolving since we started. You know, we started the educational platform and we listened to all of the rules to start your buy right and what it should be. And our business model didn't fit it exactly right. We had to keep revamping it exactly for us, for our core values, what we want, and with leverage our expertise. Like I said, we learned that we need to leverage what we can do. So with that, our buy right criteria is more based on how much we can get it per door as an empty building. And so our buy right criteria now falls in this particular area of the market. If we could find anywhere with this type of market rents, we need to find something between 60 and 70,000 a door, because we know we could go anywhere from $100 to $144,000 in per door is what it's going to cost for revenue to increase that. So that takes us, to, if we go in at 70 a door and we put 120, we're going to be all in for 190 a door. Well, some of these doors are trading at 325, some at 425 right now. They're selling these things off as condos in this area, and that's the rate that they're going at. And we feel by those numbers, we can stay conservative and refinance out and get our capital out, right? So our buy right is based on the per door numbers, but also, what we think we could refinance out. Because even though we can get really high rents, the bank might not refinance us on corporate rental rents. They'll only refinance us on a market rent. So we still want to attack something where we could put all of our capital in and get it out on the refinance so that we could take down another project and try to keep as much equity as we can. So those are two of our main drivers, and then location. And I'll let Vanessa talk about location, kind of how she defines where we're going to set up.
So we're very specific about location. I mean, Michael and I grew up in Albuquerque. We know it like the back of our hand. We know what areas we want to drive in, or down, and it depends on street by street too. But one of the things I told Michael from the very beginning is I want to invest in things that if anything were to ever happen to our home that we live in, I would not hesitate picking up my kids and moving into these properties. And so when we drive by properties or we go and we look at them, it's like, is this a place that I could live myself? And I feel like that has driven us a lot. We could walk in onto a property and go, yeah, no, thank you for your time, but we appreciate it. But I think also just, having the knowledge of our market is so important, because sometimes we don't even have to go out and look at it. We just get the address. And, it's interesting. We've been getting a lot of off-market deals now that people know we're in the multifamily space. And we are so tapped into what we want and the location that we want that it's easy to say no now. It's not like, oh, this could be a deal, let's make it work. No, it doesn't work for us. And so, yeah.
And we still underwrite it for practice. We're just we take it down, we underwrite it, we learn the numbers, we underwrite anything we get our hands on. But we know, and that's where her core values have really driven us, us talking as a couple and business partners really helps us define these. And the meeting events, we do a lot of that over there. We don't have time to do that here. When we finally fly out to Knoxville or to Austin, sometimes we leave a training session just to go, pitch our buy right criteria to each other more. And it helps our business evolve because we finally have time to do it,
Well, you guys have learned a lot in 6 months. From not being able to underwrite a deal to all of a sudden being crystal clear on your buy right, to being able to put deals in the contract, to being able to get a mixed use building, commercial building, and flip it into apartments. And that is a huge progress in 6 months. Big kudos, big shout out to you guys. My last question before we go to short answers. How is it working as a couple? Can you give the listeners some tips on, running a business with your significant other? I know there's challenges, but at the end of the day, if you're living together and you're raising a family, sometimes it's also great to be able to work with your spouse. Can you give us some tips on that?
I feel like Michael and I are amazing business partners. Absolutely, hands down. The skills that I bring and the knowledge that I bring and the skills that he brings and the knowledge that he brings just works amazing. Now we need to transfer that into our family. And I feel like it's really pushed us to kind of step back and ask each other, okay, what is our mission for our family? What is the vision for our family? Like all these things that we do within our business, it's pushed us to actually do it within our family. And I feel like our family has grown a lot more because that's our why all the time, is our kids and our family. And if our family isn't succeeding, then there's no reason to do our business. And so I feel like working together has really helped us build our relationship even stronger.
Absolutely. There's something about being a business partner and about to go into a lifelong deal. We're already married. We're already in a lifelong deal, right? But then taking down another apartment, making sure if we mess this up, we could lose. We have everything invested in, right? We liquidated our 401ks. We got everything going into these buildings, these projects. If we mess them up, it's not good for us. So in order for us to be coherent business partners, we have to be coherent, husband and wife first. And it drives us, and it makes our growth in our relationship go at a faster level too, because we'll have to have conversations, that, because we can't be at odds when we're about to go and walk in and meet with the realtor and try to take down another office space, or we're going into meetings with other investors or things like that. And I think really developing the business around our family, right? We're not developing a business and then our family. Everything's encompassed into one because we have complete control over it. So, our mission statement, our core values, everything is built around our kids, our family, and it helps. So instead of trying to separate them, I think it's really helped to just bring them all together. And it's helped us as business partners and in a relationship. And then, I think it's awesome.
The 4-step framework, the new one updated: buy right, manage right, finance right, and marry right. I hope Josh is listening. That's an important one, the marry right one.
Marry could go on the first part. Marry right, then buy right.
Even better. Marry right, then buy right, manage right, finance right. I love that, guys. Let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors.
You are looking to get involved in multifamily, this is where you need to be.
The team you've built is incredible.
There is no egos here. Everyone is always looking to help the other person.
All right, Vanessa and Michael, some quick short answer questions for you. What is your favorite book you've ever read and why?
Mine is The Family Boardroom, because it helped me realize that I could be a great entrepreneur, but I also have to focus on my family and my kids. And, they are the most important investors and clients to me. And so taking that time to really make the time for them, and they love it. We started family board meetings in our own family, and my son, I told him we were going to do it every 3 months. And he's like, well, why can't we do it more often? So yeah, that one for me for sure.
Big shout out to Jim Shields, Family Boardroom. Excellent book. Love it. 18 Summers.
Yeah.
Michael.
The Go-Giver for me, The Go-Giver was just awesome. It was something I already believed in. To see somebody put it in paper and see the returns you could get from it. It mirrors a lot of biblical references as well. As long as you give it to everybody, it comes back tenfold. And it's just something we base our business around and our everything we do. And it's just an awesome book. I've been recommending it to everybody.
Yeah, it's a great book. This guy made me read it day one when I was hired. So I love that book as well. All right. What about best habit for success and why?
Celebrate the small victories, the big victories, celebrate the failures, use them for, learning purposes. I mean, we are in a very fast-paced business and there's so much going on, and if you don't stop, you'll get caught in the whirlwind. And we really taking time to stop and celebrate makes us go back and be able to see our family, our kids, spend time with each other, is one of our habits, is just, try to celebrate when you can, because it's crazy.
And it reminds me of the gap in the gain, because it's not like, oh, what did we not accomplish, or what did we not do? It's, gosh, we did that, and that is really amazing. And so we need to celebrate that tiny victory to push us forward and continue going. And so I think taking that time to kind of just, wow, like even if it's the smallest thing, a broker called us back today and she's the top broker in Albuquerque, like, let's high five and be proud of each other for that. So
we made it on the Movers and Shakers podcast. Let's go to dinner tonight.
Listen, I love that. Keeping it fun. So, all right, listen, this has been an amazing episode, and honestly, a lot of life lessons to distill out of this one. Gino, let's sum up some of them, if you don't mind.
For me, the biggest lesson is Michael and Vanessa were already in real estate. They're already successful in the single family home space. I think they realized that multifamily is a little bit different. And what did Michael do? He took action. He went out and he sought out the advice of somebody who is successful in it. And he didn't stop there. He took the next step and said, well, how do I shorten my learning curve? And there's a lot of things in multifamily that just need to improve or change from the single family space. And taking that next step and going out and joining a community, whatever community it is, it leads to a couple of things. It leads to growth. It leads to having other people's opinions. And when you're doing your own W-2 job, or me at the restaurant years ago, I was stuck with a certain group of people that they weren't entrepreneurial. They weren't looking at investing in multifamily. And I had a fixed mindset as well. And Vanessa talked about that. Well, you have a fixed mindset because of the surroundings, because of your peer group. And if you're stuck in life, like I was, and it sounds as if Michael and Vanessa were stuck at that point, well, start changing your peer group, start looking around, start seeing who you want to hang around with. That was the first thing. When Michael came out to the Money Mixer, he saw all these people running around talking about multifamily. I mean, I didn't have that growing, group when I was trying to leave my restaurant. So for me, that's the reason why I joined Jake and Gino. And I think that's the next step. Finding the community that's going to support your values, that's going to give back to you. And it's not just about the education, it's about the accountability, because you will have tough days. So, you want to celebrate the wins, but you're going to have a lot of learning lessons as well. And when you have that, do you have the support group, not only from your significant other in your life, but from other people, whether it's coaches, whether it's Josh here as a community director, whether it's, coming out to these events and seeing that everyone else is struggling, finding deals in this market. So that's really, really important. And I think ultimately success leaves clues. Go out there and mirror and find other people that you want to emulate and start putting in the hard work. Because ultimately, Josh, it's education times action equals your results. You can be highly educated, you can take massive action, but if you don't couple both of them, you're either going to be really paralysis analysis, or you're going to be doing some really bad deals. Let's have that paralysis analysis and doing deals together, and you will get those results that you're looking for.
Boom. Listen, how can the listeners get a hold of both of you?
So I think the best way is to send us an email. We always do that. And right now it's michael@mtinm.com. That's management. That is New Mexico.com. So michael@mtinm.com, Vanessa@mtinm.com. If you reach out to us, we'll try to set up the Calendly link. We love networking. We love learning. We love teaching. Just reach out anytime.
Well, listen, I want to thank both of you for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing your movers and shakers story. Now, listen, if you like the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a movers and shakers week. See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.